Greetings aspirants. Today we are here with a new concept in CC concepts from the subject Environment and Ecology, that is ecotone. Today we are going to discuss the definition of an ecotone, the characteristics of an ecotone and the concept of edge species. So let's begin. What is an ecotone? Ecotone is a zone of junction between two diverse ecosystems, mostly two or more diverse ecosystems, and this is a transitional zone between ecosystems. So the word ecotone itself suggests, eco is derived from the Greek word oikos, which means home, and the word tone suggests tension. So we can say that ecotone is a zone of tension because it is an intermediate ecosystem between two ecosystems. So if there is any imbalance in either of the ecosystems, it will always affect the transitional zone. So it's always a zone of tension. Now we also know there are many examples of ecotones that we study about, that is delta, estuary, mangroves or grasslands for that matter. Now what is mangrove forest? Is an ecotone that we can find between a terrestrial ecosystem and for marine ecosystem, and grasslands is a zone of transition between the forest ecosystem and the desert ecosystem. So we need to understand that the ecosystems are not just natural but they are also man-made. Now for example, here we need to understand that by the definition of ecotone, any zone that is in transition between two ecosystems or two diverse ecosystems is called a ecotone. So any transitional ecosystem between a man-made ecosystem like an agricultural land and a forest, the transitional zone between these two ecosystems is also known as an ecotone. So now to understand the concept of what is an ecotone and the characteristics of it, we will take an example of delta. So here we can see the picture of a delta where the river flows into the marine ecosystem. The river which carries fresh water flows into a marine ecosystem, either an ocean or a sea, and the water here is saline. Right. The river along with it brings a lot of sediments. These sediments are rich in nutrients as what are sediments? Sediments are broken rocks. So broken rocks are made up of minerals. So these sediments are rich in minerals, that is, are rich in nutrients. So when there is a zone of transition between both the freshwater ecosystem and marine ecosystem along with nutrients, this is such zone is rich in ecological productivity. Now what do we mean by ecological productivity? Ecological productivity is where the production of food is more. So when the nutrients are rich, automatically we can see growth of some planktons here, which are a base of food for many fish species. So we can find a number of species of fish coming here for food, and we are talking about large numbers of fish, that is abundance of fish. Here we are talking about population density. So more number of species come here for food, and also for the fish species you can find some birds coming, and then you can find some kinds of snakes that feed on fish and amphibians. And so here we can see that in this ecosystem it is also rich in biodiversity. So in an ecotone we see that it is rich in nutrients and hence is rich in ecological productivity, and therefore it is also rich in population density of species and is rich in biodiversity of species. So it becomes important for us to conserve such ecosystems. So it makes very easy for us to conserve more kind of species in a lesser area, and hence this preserving such ecosystems becomes very important for us. So let's understand these species that are found in an ecotone are also unique in nature. Why are they unique in nature? Now, for example, we can find here fresh water and ocean water mixing together, forming a new kind of water which are generally called as brackish waters. What are brackish waters? Brackish waters is salt waters whose salinity is not as much as of saline water in the oceans and not as less as of fresh water. So these kind of waters are called brackish waters. And here unique species like mangroves grow and they adapt to this ecosystem. And let's see, here you can find the marine waters and here you have the terrestrial ecosystem. And this zone in between, the zone of junction, is an ecotone. And these unique mangroves have adapted to the environment here and have specific features to sustain here in this ecosystem. Like they have stilt roots. These stilt roots help them in nitrogen fixation. They go very deep into the sediments to draw the nutrients. And also the roots are called pneumatophores because they are airy and spongy. They are soft and spongy, making them easy to absorb the nutrients from the sediments and give it to the tree that is above the marine ecosystem. So now let's sum up the characteristics and see. The characteristics of an ecotone is they are quite narrow, they are quite wide. They are quite wide like a delta ecosystem or narrow like a estuary. And they have intermediate conditions. They have intermediate conditions of both the ecosystems on either sides and they are hence always in a zone of tension. And we also understood that it is because of its high nutrient value, it is rich in ecological productivity, making it rich in biodiversity. And we also can find unique organisms here. So in this zone of junction, we often find the population density of certain organisms is more than either of the community. And this effect is called as edge effect. And the species that primarily or mostly occur in this kind of zones are called edge species. For example, let's look at an example of songbirds. Songbirds live in a transitional zone or they are abundantly found in a transitional zone of grasslands. Grassland again is a ecotone between forest and desert ecosystem. So these songbirds have adapted to the ecotone environment and their toe arrangement is so specific that they can perch on the dry branches that are there and they are abundantly found in the transitional zone. Now to understand what is abundance, let's look at an example. If there is a question in any examination, any competitive examination saying the songbirds are found in which of the following ecosystems? 1. Grasslands, 2. Forest ecosystems, 3. Desert ecosystems, and all of the above. The answer will be all of the above. The songbirds are found in all the ecosystems, but they are abundantly found in grasslands. Abundantly means in large numbers. So in today's class, we have covered the definition and characteristics of ecotone and the concept of edge effect and edge species. Thank you.